Is it?
Yes, Your Lordship. N1 speaker one.
Okay, you may continue.
May it please this honorable court, this counsel on behalf of the appellant in the matter of Sadashiv Balchandra versus State of Maharashtra. This counsel seeks to address this bench as Your Lordship.
Yeah.
Much obliged. Your Lordship, would you like the facts of the case?
Briefly, very briefly.
Mr. Desai lived in Mumbai with his wife and two daughters, Savita and Kasturi, both aged 17 and 14. Further, their neighbor was happened to be
If you
Mr.
can
Sadashiv.
only, if you can only give me the operative important parts. I don't want you to just mechanically narrate the facts. Just pick out
Okay,
the
Your
gist
Lordship.
of the matter and give it to me.
Okay, Your Lordship. On 14th of February, the appellant proposed to marry the daughter of the respondent, Savita, to which Savita had agreed. On the 30th of
What
June,
was her age?
Savita was age 17 at that time.
Okay.
Further, on the 30th of June, 2019, Mr. Desai found out about the fact that Savita and Mr. Sadashiv were close friends, and the fact that Savita wanted to get married to Mr. Sadashiv. Upon which he took Savita forcefully to one of their distant relatives' place in Ranjangaon, Mr. Nandakumar's place. On the 1st of July 2019 at 10 a.m., Savita left the house of Mr. Nandakumar and voluntarily called the accused to meet on a certain road, and voluntarily got in the car with him and further went and got married to him. Further, they got married at Siddhivinayak Mandir, and then they stayed the night at Rainwoods Motel. Further, they went to Pune, then where they stayed a few days, then in Kolhapur, where they stayed for 10 to 12 days. And then they went to Belgaum and in Goa, where they were caught by the police upon a complaint being registered by Mr. Desai of kidnapping.
They were
If your
caught by
lordship is
police. Okay.
Yes, your lordship. If your
Okay.
lordship
Okay.
is if your lordship is satisfied with the facts of the case, the council
Go,
would
go.
like to.
No, I was commenting on your vocabulary. Caught by the police. So, is that an admission of guilt?
No, your lordship.
Okay. Continue.
The council would like to present a roadmap of the contentions that will be raised before this
Don't
honorable
refer to
court.
yourself as the council. We are aware that you are in court. You must be some council. To say I. Continue.
I, N1, Speaker 1, shall raise the first contention and establish that Savita's consent is to be treated like an adult's, and establish that it was solely her conscious decision to leave her lawful guardian's house.
Why treated like an adult?
Uh,
Just now you said she's 17 years of age. So is the
yes, your
criteria
lordship.
flexible?
Your lordship, I will be dealing with that very point further in my speech.
Okay, so the court shall wait as per your whims and fancies.
No, your lordship. The council is merely stating the contentions that will be raised before this court.
So I want the answer to my question now.
Your lordship, Savita is to be treated like an adult because she was of 17 years of age and she was about to attain she was on the verge of majority. Further, she was also an educated girl who went to St. Anne's Convent.
So how do you define verge of majority? 10 days, 20 days, 10 months, 1 year?
Your lordship, the verge of majority can be defined from a high court case of
Tell me what
Basanti
is the
versus.
whole idea of defining a particular age for majority?
Your lordship, majority can be as defined is supposed to be over the age of 18, but the age of
I know
discretion
what is the age. My question to you is, what is the idea of drawing the line at a particular age?
Your lordship,
so that we can play with the criteria.
Your lordship, at the age of 17, at the age of 17, Savita was only a few months away from attaining the majority. At that point of time, she was mature enough to understand what was good and bad for her.
When I gave you a chance in the very beginning to comment upon her age, you said she's 17, and now suddenly you say very few days. What does it say in your facts?
Your Lordship, in the fact sheet, it is stated that she was about to turn 18 in a few months on the day that.
So when I asked you what is her age, you clearly stated 17. So at that
Yes, Your
very,
Lordship, because at the
did she age about 10 months in the last few minutes?
Your Lordship, the council pleads ignorance because I mean, at her age was 17
I
years.
don't like
However,
ignorant people in my court.
apologies, Your Lordship. Can the council continue?
Okay, continue.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Uh, this will be the first contention that will be raised by me, my co-counsel, and
Again,
N2
going
Speaker
back
2.
to my question which you have left unanswered. If the law has drawn a line on a particular age, are you free to tamper with that line?
No, Your Lordship, but in the similar case of or in a similar Supreme Court case of S. Varadarajan versus State of Madras, it was stated that a girl who has almost all her life lived in a modern city, who has attended college and is an educated girl, has the understanding of.
In Varadarajan's case, did Varadarajan proposition to her? Did he propose to her?
Yes, Your Lordship, there was proposal of marriage.
In Varadarajan's case, are you sure? Have you
Yeah,
read the facts of the matter?
yes,
In this
Your
particular
Lordship,
case,
they had got in Your Lordship, in the S. Varadarajan case, there is no mention of the fact that S. Varadarajan wanted to get married to Savitri since the beginning. But
so
however, after they
then that case differs from your case. In your case, you have clearly planted the seeds of allurement in her mind by proposing to her that they get married and elope. In
however, Your
Varadarajan's case,
Lordship,
there was no such thing. That was the
yes, Your
crux of
Lordship,
the Varadarajan matter.
agreed, Your Lordship. But the matter of fact in our case happens to be that Savita was also not a child of tender
What
years.
what is the whole ideology behind the section or crime of kidnapping from lawful guardianship?
Uh, Your Lordship, kidnapping as defined in
I do
section
not want
3.
a definition. I am asking you, what is the whole ideology behind having a section called kidnapping from lawful guardianship in the Indian Penal Code?
To prevent such an incident from happening, Your Lordship.
Okay, so you are conceding that you are wrong.
Uh, no, Your Lordship. There was
Just now
there
you
was
said
no
it was done to prevent such things happening.
such an incident of kidnapping happening, Your Lordship. Not I did not agree to the fact that the case at hand there is any crime in the first place.
Okay, go
Uh,
go ahead with your further contentions.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. My co-counsel and two speaker two shall raise the second contention and establish the fact that the elopement and the marriage of Savita and Sadashiv and Mr. Sadashiv Balchandra did not fall within the ambit of kidnapping under section as defined under section 361, and she shall also be defined and she shall also be emphasizing on the words enticing and taking as mentioned in 361 and the validity of their
Enticing and
marriage.
taking both are mutually exclusive or both have to be present together?
They have to be present together, Your Lordship.
Are
They
you
have to be
sure?
read.
What is the wording
Yes,
of the section?
Your Lordship, as defined, Section 361 of the Indian Penal Code states that whoever takes or entices any
Takes
or
what
entices, but
or
yes,
entices. Yeah.
uh,
So
Your Lordship,
admitted there is no enticement. Suppose admitted there is no enticement. Does the fact of taking alone not constitute the offense? Is it not sufficient to show the offense, reveal the offense?
yes, Your Lordship. However, takes or entices have to be read at the same time.
Who says so? The
In the
very
matter,
fact that they have given the word takes or entices, according to my humble opinion, means that you do not have to entice. In case of children of impressionable age, even taking amounts to the offense.
Your Lordship, in the matter again of S. Varatharajan versus State of Madras, it was stated that takes or enticing, as defined under Section 361, have to be read in the exact same line. That was agreed upon by the Supreme Court.
Read in the exact same line, interpreted in the same way also?
No, Your Lordship, takes will be interpreted in a different way.
I go back to my original question. What is the idea of having a section called kidnapping from lawful guardianship in the Indian Penal Code?
To prevent an incident of kidnapping happening.
Forget the incidents. Tell me what it means.
Your Lordship, such.
Okay, continue. Go ahead with the other contentions.
Yes, Your Lordship, these are the two contentions that will be raised.
What do you have to say regarding jurisdiction?
Your Lordship, this is a revision application filed under Section 397 of the Criminal Procedure Code.
1 second, give me a moment.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Or 2 minutes left, speaker one.
Okay, so the brief says come before the High Court. It does not mention appeal or revision. So you state this is a revision. Why?
Your Lordship, because an appeal was made in the Sessions Court in which the appellant was convicted. So this is a revision that the revision application that the appellant has filed to overturn such a decision.
Okay.
Yeah. With your Lordship.
You have a couple of minutes. You have anything else to say?
Your Lordship, with respect to their marriage that happened under Section 12 of the Hindu Marriage Act, their marriage is to be considered as voidable. However, a voidable marriage is still an existing marriage unless objected by any of the parties to the marriage. In this case, Savita, who was under the age of 18 when the marriage took place, she could, when she became a major, object to the marriage and file to invalidate it, but she did not, because she had a free will in doing so. All of her actions to go and be with the accused were out of her own free will. She was, if she was induced or enticed, she could invalidate the marriage at the magistrate or at the sessions level, but she did not, because it was her beloved.
Your argument is against the heart of section of kidnapping from lawful guardianship.
Your Lordship, the very point that the council is talking about the validity of their marriage at this point of time is to prove the point that Savita had a free will and had consented in being with the accused from the start.
Where does this validity of marriage come from?
Your Lordship, validity of the marriage is not to be taken that way. The council is raising that very point to prove that Savita had a free will in doing so in all the actions that happened, in stepping out of Mr. Nandakumar's house. If she did not have that free will, she could have objected to the very marriage, but she did not, because that is what she wanted to do from the start, be with her beloved, that is Mr. Sadashiv.
Not very convincing. Okay, next.
Your Lordship, in the Supreme Court judgment in the matter of Independent Thought versus Union of India, it was upheld that it is also stated in term, and I quote, if you would turn to page 68 of the compendium, it is also stated that in terms of Section 13, Clause 2, Subclause 4 of the Hindu Marriage Act 1955, a child bride can
don't go out of context.
Okay, Your Lordship, getting to the point, in other words, the child marriage is sought to be somehow legitimized by the Union of India, and the onus of having it declared voidable or nullity is placed on the child bride or the child groom. Thus, it can be concluded.
Next.
It can be concluded that Savita had consented to the marriage and in going with the appellant to all the places that they went together. It can also be established that she had free will.
Do you have only a one-track argument saying that you should not, the offense is not revealed because Savita had consented? Is this your only argument on the table?
Your Lordship, the very fact that Savita voluntarily telephoned the appellant on the 1st of July, as the incidents happened on the 30th of June, the very awkwardness and shame of living at an unknown distant relative's place where she was uncomfortable living propelled her to go and meet with the one person she thought and she knew she could trust, and that was the accused. It was Savita's conscious decision, considering the events of the previous night, to abandon the guardianship of her parents and her lawful guardian and go and be in the company of her beloved. Your Lordship, also in the matter of Basant, where the High Court concluded in Basanti and another versus State of UP, if you may turn to page 14 of the compendium, point number 22, it states if a minor of her own abandons the guardianship of her parents and joins a boy without any role having been played by the boy in her abandoning the guardianship of her parents, and without her having been subjected to any kind of pressure or inducement, and without any offer or promise from the accused, no offense punishable under section 363 IPC will be made out when the girl is aged more than 17 years and is mature enough to understand what she is doing. Also, on the same page on point 23, it was noted that a girl who has attained the age of discretion and was on the verge of attaining majority and is capable of knowing what was good and what was bad for her cannot be said to be a victim of inducement, particularly when the case of the victim or girl herself is that it was on her initiative and on her account of the voluntary act that she had gone with the boy and got married to him. Unquote. This establishes the fact that Savita had attained that age of discretion and was on the verge of majority that she was. Not only that, but it is also very important to note that it was Savita who voluntarily left the house of where her father had kept her and called the accused to meet her. All of this suggests that there were a series of decisions that were made by Savita on her own, with the appellant playing no role but simply complying with her wishes.
I find this whole argument to be only one-track argument. You are arguing against the whole essence of the section. You keep harping about Savita has left of her own free will, she has given a consent. Is consent of the minor necessary?
Your Lordship, in such
for
a
that
case,
matter, is mens rea necessary for kidnapping from lawful guardianship?
Your Lordship, there was absolutely no mens rea in this case because the
Is
appellant
mens rea necessary?
Yes, Your Lordship, mens rea is necessary.
Okay, very good, fantastic. Yeah, go ahead.
In this case, Your Lordship, the appellant had, in fact, on the 14th of February, when he proposed to marry Savita, the appellant had said that he will marry her after she turns 18. That was the very fact that there was no intention of the appellant doing any wrong. The appellant simply complied with the wishes of Savita on the day that it happened when she got into his car. Also, in another High Court case of State of Madhya Pradesh versus Ajeej Khan, it was argued that and concluded that when she has willingly accompanied him, the law does not cast upon the boy the duty of taking her back to her father's house, even of telling her not to accompany him.
What is the time limit given to each participant, coordinator?
Sir, speaker one, time is up long back.
Yeah, so you should tell me because I'm waiting for you to tell, because if
So
I was...
Okay, so
yeah, you said 2 minutes. After that, please give a final indication that time is over.
Okay, sir.
Okay. You said 2 minutes were remaining. I'm just waiting for an indication, please. And when I say next, I was meaning next participant, and he's going on with his next contention. Next participant, please.
With the permission of your Lordship, Council would like to proceed with the next contention. I will be addressing the issue of and defining kidnapping with the meaning of the words taking and enticing that come under it, and I would beyond reasonable doubt prove that Savita's elopement to get married does not come under the ambit of kidnapping. With the permission of your Lordship, I would like to define section 361 and 363 of the Indian Penal Code. Okay. Okay, your Lordship, according to section 361, it is to be noted that taking or enticing away minor out of the keeping of the lawful guardian is an essential ingredient for the offence of kidnapping to be committed. In the facts stated by my learned co-counsel, it was Savita who had telephoned and fixed the rendezvous. She walked up to the place herself, found the appellant waiting in the car, and she herself, on her own accord, got into the appellant's car without him asking her to step in. All what the appellant did was simply follow and fulfill what Savita had wished for.
All that the appellant did was simply park his car in a very strategic point.
Your Lordship, it wasn't a strategic point since Savita herself was the one who called and asked the appellant to meet him at
The
a
car
certain
drove
place.
itself to the rendezvous point.
No, Your Lordship, the car was driven on the wishes of Savita, wanting the appellant to meet her at a
So the wishes
common
of
point.
Savita drove the car.
No, it was the wishes. It was the wishes of Savita that the appellant complied to.
Okay, continue.
Uh, Your Lordship, even after that, they got married at Siddhivinayak temple where there was no fear and there was no fear, threat, coercion of her to get married to the appellant. She
I asked
herself,
you the same question which I asked your co-counsel. Okay, what is the ideology? What is the idea? What is the essence behind kidnapping from lawful guardianship?
taking or enticing away a minor under the age of.
I'm not asking you the ingredients. Please try and understand the question. What is the essence? What was the intention of the law when they created such a section?
To prevent minors from getting enticed by.
Are you aware of actus non facitrium nisi mensitria?
Your Lordship, counsel does not know, is not aware of what
Okay.
Your Lordship asked.
Okay, continue.
Okay. Your Lordship, if in the facts pertaining to the case presented, there
Are
is
you at
no.
least aware of what is mens rea?
Yes, Your Lordship. Intention to commit a crime is mens rea.
Okay. So how is section 363, 361, how is the section uniquely connected with this concept of mens rea?
To be clear. Your Lordship, counsel
See,
does
this
not
is the
have,
whole crux of the matter.
takes or entices would be.
That, my dear, is an ingredient.
Okay, Your Lord.
Okay, continue, please. Yeah, continue.
Okay. Even it wasn't the appellant's responsibility or duty to take Savita to the respondent or the lawful guardian, since under Section 12 of the Hindu Marriage Act, the marriage between the appellant and Savita is voidable in
Don't
nature.
confuse things. Don't bring Marriage Act in between.
Your Lordship, counsel's purpose of getting Marriage Act in between is saying that according to a judgment by the Madras High Court in the case of, if Your Lordships may turn to page number 138 of the compendium.
I'm aware of the judgment. Tell me, yeah.
In the case of T. Sivakumar versus the Inspector of Police, it was said that the Hindu Minority and Guardianship Act also provide the husband of a minor wife as a natural guardian. And after the marriage, when Sadashiv became Savita's, when they got married and he became her natural guardian, there was no responsibility bestowed on him to take her back to her to the lawful guardian or her father's place. That is the
No, but
essence.
that means if he doesn't take her back to a guardian's place, he can take her anywhere else he wants.
But Your Lordship, Savita was in agreement to where they said in the fact sheet it is written, it is not mentioned that he took her. They both consented and both of them willfully went.
Okay,
wherever
what
they
was
did.
Savita's age again, I ask?
Savita was 17 on the verge of turning 18. On the verge, and by on the verge, I mean she was a few months away.
Okay. Yeah, continue with your further contentions. You have something new to say? Because so far both of you all have been harping upon just one single solitary point without justifying it properly.
Your Lordship, my next contention is stating the fact that Savita was on the verge of attaining majority and she can't be a victim of inducement, particularly with the case at hand, where Savita herself took the initiative.
Can you tell me what is the difference between the main difference in the Thakurilal Vadgama case and Varadarajan's case?
Thakurlal D. Vadgama. Yes, Your Lordship. Sir, in Thakurlal D. Vadgama, the victim there was aged 14. In Thakurlal D. Vadgama, and in Varadarajan, she's 17.
Did the judgment revolve around this fact?
No, Your Lordship, the judgment revolved around the fact that she was a minor.
No, you have quoted these cases, right?
Thakurlal D. Vardhama, no, Your Lordship, we've only quoted Vardarajan.
Yeah, of course, because Thakurlal Vardhama is
Is against us.
Okay. Okay. So, but at least you got to know, no? So why Varadarajan is in favor of you?
Yes, Your Lordship. Because she was age 17, turning towards nearer to the age of majority.
Okay. Next, continue.
Yes. If Your Lordships may please turn to page number 7 of the compendium, I'd like to, in the case of the division bench of 3, Varadarajan versus State of Madras, it says what will completely, it defined whether the case tantamounted to taking or not. It would, however, be sufficient if the prosecution establishes that though immediately prior to the minor leaving the father's protection, no active part was played by the accused, he had at some earlier stage solicited.
What do you mean by active part? Okay, tell me.
Your Lordship, active part in this saying actively.
To my knowledge, you were quite active. You drove the car to where she was and from where she was to
Your Lordship, but
she wanted
the appellant did not explicitly tell her to leave the place of her guardianship.
You said that you have proposed to her that they get married once she turns 18 and all. What more explicit behavior do you require?
Your Lordship, he mentioned it was all in good faith that he said that he wanted to get married to her after 18 because he knew the legality behind it. He also made a mention.
But if she chose to ignore the legality, he also conveniently chose to ignore it.
Because it was as per his beloved's wishes, Your Lordship.
Okay. Continue, please.
Continuing with the judgment, Your Lordship, in our opinion, if evidence to establish one of those things is lacking, it would be legitimate to infer that the accused is guilty of taking the minor out of the keeping of the lawful guardian merely because after she actually left her guardian's house or a house where her guardian had kept her, joined the accused, and the accused helped her decide not to return to her guardian's house by taking her along with him from place to place. No doubt that the part played by the accused could be regarded as facilitating the fulfillment of the intention of the girl. That part, in our opinion, falls short on an inducement to the minor to slip out of the keeping of her lawful guardian and is therefore not tantamount to taking. In ingredients of the section.
1 minute, come again. Last sentence. It amounts to inducement and not to taking.
That opinion, reading it.
Which is worse? You just said it amounts to inducement and not to taking.
No, Your Lordship. I made a mention that part, in our opinion, falls short of an inducement to the minor.
You said falls short of inducement. Okay.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court made a mention that merely asking her to get married does not amount to inducement.
I did not hear you well. Continue. Yeah.
Yes, Your Lordship. Ingredients of Section 361 IPC cannot be said to be satisfied in the case at hand, where the minor, having attained the age of discretion.
What are the ingredients of 361? Tell me. Movement out of the possession in the order of taking.
Taking or enticing away a minor
without consent. Whose consent?
The lawful guardian.
Right.
At that point. Yes, Your Lordship.
Yeah. Was there movement out of the keeping?
Not she herself moved out of.
Or enticing out of the keeping, was it?
No, Your Lordship, there was not.
Okay, continue.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Speaker 1, 2 minutes are left.
It is clear that mere passive consent on the part of a person in giving shelter to the minor does not amount to taking or enticing.
Manoj, now tell me again when the 2 minutes are over, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Enticing of the minor, but the active bringing about the stay of the minor in the house of a person by playing upon the weak and hesitant mind of the minor would amount to taking within the meaning of Section 361 of the IPC. Your Lordship, one must bear in mind that Savita, from the onset of the relationship that started with sharing cups of tea in the balcony and playing games of cards as well, she was consciously aware of her actions and the consequences that come along with it. Neither was she in a position where she was unable to think for herself and was capable in differentiating between what is right and wrong and what's good and bad.
You should prohibit playing of cards and having tea.
No, Your Lordship, that was the onset of the relationship. They used to stay up till 10 at night and play at in the balcony.
So what is the cutoff time?
No, Your Lordship, there is no cut-off time, but the mere fact that Savita accepted the proposal also shows that she equally liked Sadashiv as he did her.
Okay.
Uh,
Anything else?
In the light of the above, it is humbly submitted that the actions of the appellant do not come under the ambit of kidnapping, and the Metropolitan Magistrate Court and the Sessions Court have failed to appreciate the facts.
So the summation of your argument is, in your own words,
Yes,
giving
sir.
in to the demands of your beloved would not reveal an offense under any circumstances.
Not
Provided you are playing cards and having tea up to 10 p.m. in the night.
Your Lordship, it was a relationship between them, and in all good faith, Sadashiv in no way had told her to leave the house. He only asked to get married to her.
Is that a
when-
requirement?
Sir, 2 minutes are up.
Okay, thank you. One or two last sentences you want to say?
Your Lordship, I'd like to finish by reciting the prayers.
Okay.
In the lights of the issues raised, arguments advanced, and authorities cited, the appellant pray before this Honorable High Court that it be pleased to first overturn the decision of the Honorable Metropolitan Magistrate and Sessions Court. Second, acquit the appellant of the charge of Section 363 of the Indian Penal Code. Any other order this Honorable High Court may deem fit in the interest of equity, justice, and good conscience. And for this act of kindness, the counsel for the appellant shall be duty bound forever.
Okay. Okay.
Respondents, please switch on your audio and video.
Yes.
May I begin?
So this is just meant. What is the coding? A.
AA1, Your Lordship, and AA2.
So you are A1, is it?
Yes,
Okay.
Your Lordship.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
May I
there.
begin?
Yeah.
Okay. May it please this honorable court, this is Counsel AA1 on behalf of state in the matter of Sadashiv versus State of Maharashtra. Counsel AA1 will be Speaker 1 and Counsel AA2 will be Speaker 2. Counsel seeks to address the bench as Your Lordship.
Why do you need my
ma-
permission to do that? So if I tell you to address me as something else,
Your Lordship, normally that is how you address
who said that?
moot court in the
Who
moot.
said that you have to seek permission to do that? Just go ahead and address. Okay, continue.
Yes, Your Lordship. If Your Lordship is well versed with the facts of the case, I would like to proceed to my arguments.
Okay.
Just before that, I would like to bring it to the notice of Your Lordship that the counsels of the accused have been constantly referring to Mr. Sadashiv as the appellant after mentioning that they have filed for a revision application under Section 3.
A small technicality. It's okay. I oversee that. Continue.
Okay, Your Lordship. I would like to proceed to the statement of issues. This case has two issues. The first issue deals with the jurisdiction under which the application for revision has been filed. So the issue being whether or not the decision of the Metropolitan Magistrate and Sessions Court is justified. And the second issue deals with the ingredients of Section 361, the issue being whether the charge under which Sadashiv was convicted has been made out. Counsel seeks permission to address the arguments of issue number 1. Your Lordship,
If
counsel.
you keep seeking my permission, I'll waste time in giving you that permission. So before every
apologies,
contention, if you're going to seek permission, I'm going to take 2 minutes to give you that permission.
Apologies, Your Lordship. I will proceed. The first issue is whether the decision of the Metropolitan Magistrate Court and Sessions Court is justified. The applicant is filing for an application of revision under Section 397 of the CRPC. Council is well aware of the fact that this is the final hearing of this matter. However, Council would still like to talk about this aspect that being a prosecutor and an officer of law, it is my duty to make the genuine efforts to ensure that fairness and justice prevail. Council humbly submits
Thank you for
the verdict.
informing me of that. Yeah, continue.
Council humbly submits that the verdict passed by the lower courts is absolutely correct, and hence there is no need to waste the time of the Honorable High Court in entertaining this application.
So the
Council
process
says
of law has no
that,
weightage.
This is just the humble submission of the council.
According to your opinion, this is all a waste of time.
Council believes that this is the waste of
If I
time.
hear
of
this
the
word council 10 more times, I'm going to drop dead here.
I believe, your lordship, apologies, I believe, your lordship, that this is a waste of the time of the Honorable High Court only because there are mainly 3 criteria under which...
Let us decide what is a waste of our time or not. You go ahead with your contentions.
Okay, your lordship. Section 397 of the CRPC talks about 3 criteria under which a revision application can be filed, namely legality, correctness, and propriety of any finding. Legality deals with the accuracy of the judicial procedure which takes place during the course of the trial. Correctness specifically talks about the appropriateness of the judgment that has been passed by the honorable judge by both of the lower courts. Since the prosecutor has been able to prove the charge of Section 363 of the IPC beyond any shadow of doubt in the 2 lower courts, this correctness is not an issue in this case. Propriety of any finding talks about correctness of the findings made during the course of the trial, which eventually lead to the formation of the judgment. It is the humble submission of the council that the scope of revision is much narrower than that of an appeal. Hence, since all 3 ingredients have been proven in a satisfactory manner,
According to
council does
whom?
not. It is the submission of the council.
Okay.
It is the submission of the council, and council would only like if you could consider it.
Okay.
According to criminal jurisprudence, the burden of proving the accused guilty lies on the shoulder of the council. In spite of providing the accused with this benefit of the doubt, the accused has still been convicted by both the lower courts. I would like to submit that hence the charges under which Sadashiv was convicted are substantial. It is a settled position of law that the High Court shall interfere with the charge framed only if there is a glaring injustice in the face of it. In the present case, prima facie, the ingredients of Section 361 have been established. No illegality is seen in the impugned order, which calls for...
Have been established according to whom? Are we not here to decide on that?
We are, and in the second issue, I will prove how the ingredients of Section 361 can be proven to have been fulfilled beyond a shadow of doubt.
So go ahead with that. Chalo.
I will be dealing with the first issue, and my co-counsel will be dealing with the second issue.
Yeah, you deal with the first issue. Don't go on the merits of the revision application, please.
Okay, your lordship. So the second issue is whether the charge under which Sadashiv was convicted has been made out. Sadashiv was convicted under Section 363 of the IPC, which is the punishment for kidnapping. But kidnapping is defined by Section 361 of the IPC, and Council AA1 will be dealing with the Section 361.
I got that. Please go ahead with your contentions.
Okay, I will be dealing with the first ingredient, which is
Don't
minor.
talk about what you're dealing with. Deal with it.
Okay. The crux of Section 361 is the victim being a minor. The Section 361 mentions the ages as girl below the age of 18.
Don't you agree that she is almost 18?
Yes, your lordship. But
hardly any difference. So on a technicality, why are you behind these people's life? For all you know, they are going to be very happily married, and not only for this lifetime, but 7 more lifetimes.
Your lordship, even if it is by a few days that she is a minor, she is still a minor and should be treated like one in the eyes of the law, because her closure to attaining majority doesn't make her capable of making her decision.
But in Varadarajan's case, it is clearly laid down that in cases where the victim is of borderline age,
yes,
some laxity has to be shown, some leniency has to be shown. What do you have to say regarding this?
So, Your Lordship, in Varadarajan case, the proposal for marriage was not made. So, there was not enough enticement, which is provided in our case. That's why the decision of the girl prosecutrix, the minor prosecutrix, of leaving the house of her relative and abandoning the guardianship of her parents cannot be said to be an independent one. There is a certain amount and a large amount of inducement at that has been carried out by Sadashiv, as a result of which she has abandoned the guardianship of her parents. Because this proposal of marriage was not present in the Varadarajan case, there was not enough enticement, which we have in this case. That's
Okay, go
why.
ahead.
Okay. A minor is a minor for a reason, and his or her capacity.
But do you think he had any evil intention in doing all this? See, his intentions are totally noble. He's married that girl. He's he's actually intending to stay with her throughout his life as legally wedded husband.
True, Your Lordship. However, his intentions are none of our concern, because 361 of the IPC does not deal with mens rea. It is him taking her away and enticing her is what we need to deal with, since that is the ingredient of section 361, which can be proven.
Okay.
Okay. A minor is a minor for a reason, and
But
he's
that can be put in a little better way. Huh? None of our concern. Okay. What is our concern?
our concern.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Apologies, Your Lordship. A minor is a minor for a reason, and his or her incapacity to make the decision should not be underestimated based on the closure of him or her attaining majority. If Your Lordship, with the permission of Your Lordship, I would like to cite a case law on page 92. That is the case of Prakash versus State of Haryana.
Okay.
The Honorable Justice Arjit Pasayat said that on plain reading of this section, the consent of the minor who is taken or enticed is wholly immaterial.
Only 2 minutes are left.
Okay, yes. It is only the guardian's consent which takes the case out of the purview, nor is it necessary that the taking or enticing must be shown to have been means by fraud or force.
Can you please read that again?
The whole thing?
On which page are you?
Page 92.
Just give me a moment.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Yeah, continue please.
On a plain reading of this section, the consent of the minor who is taken or enticed is wholly immaterial. It is only the guardian's consent which takes the case out of the purview, nor is it necessary that the taking or enticing must be shown to have been by means of force or fraud. Persuasion by the accused person...
That is okay. That is the section itself. Agreed. Go ahead. Anything else? Any other contention?
What I want to highlight using this case law is that the consent of the minor, by virtue of her being a minor, is immaterial. So whether she has voluntarily, I wouldn't want to say that she has voluntarily stepped out of the guardianship of her parents. There has been inducement. My co-counsel will prove how. But just because she has stepped out of the...
Just satisfy me as to one point, okay?
Yes, Your Lordship.
Taking is there.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Suppose we admit that taking is there.
Yes.
Is it taking out of the keeping? Because there are two separate ingredients.
Yes,
taking and out of the keeping.
Yes.
So has he taken her out of the keeping?
Yes, he has, because it was his enticement.
She has abandoned the protective shell herself.
Only on the enticement and inputs of Sadashiv.
But enticement was when and where he has done it. Is there any causal relationship?
He has enticed her out of the keeping of the guardianship of her parents, because...
That was quite some days back. And when she left the house, it was...
Sir, it's time.
Yeah, I plan to give her a few more minutes. Okay.
The proposal had taken place on 14th Feb 2019. However, from 14th Feb to 30th of June of 2019, the period of 5 months that went in between, there was a constant contact between the accused and Savita. So it is not like it was the last time that they may have spoken.
And when was she taken to the relative's house?
On 30th June, the same night that they were caught.
When did he take her away?
He took her away on the next day, the very next day.
Okay.
So there has been a constant contact between the two of them.
That's all.
Okay, Your Lordship. I would just like to talk about one point, if that's okay.
No, it's not okay. Your time is up. Next.
Okay, Your Lordship. Thank you. Much obliged.
Your Lordship, please may I proceed?
You are AA2, right?
Yes, Your Lordship.
Okay.
May it please this honorable court, I, Council Speaker AA2, am appearing on behalf of respondent in the case of Sadashiv versus State of Maharashtra. As my co-counsel has already dealt with
Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Yeah, continue, please.
As my co-counsel has already dealt with the part of issue 1 and first ingredient, which is part of second issue, I will now be addressing the rest of the issue. Before going towards the next ingredient, Your Lordship, I would like to point out that this honorable court does not sit in its revision jurisdiction to reappreciate the evidence. What counsel for accused has put forth in their argument is only the material fact which has already been appreciated by trial court and the sessions court. They have filed a revision application in this honorable court. A revision application has a narrower scope than an appeal, as explained by my co-counsel. This honorable court cannot sit to reappreciate the facts or the evidence put forth. In order to support this, Your Lordship, I would like to cite a case. Duli Chand versus Delhi administration. Your Lordship, please will you refer to page number 95, para 4 and 5 of the highlighted part.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, the jurisdiction of the High Court in a criminal revision application is severely restricted and it cannot embark upon reappreciation of the evidence. Now, the next highlighted part in the next para. The High Court in the revision was exercising supervisory jurisdiction of a restrictive nature, and therefore it would have been justified in refusing to reappreciate the evidence for the purpose of determining whether the concurrent finding of fact reached by the learned magistrate and the learned additional sessions judge was correct. What the counsel for accused has done are trying to state that all of their arguments are on the basis of facts, and which I am trying to tell the court that it's not allowed under
Not
section 3.
tenable.
Sorry.
Tenable. Okay, continue. Yeah.
Now moving towards the next and the most important ingredient of section 361, Your Lordship, the accused took or enticed such a minor out of the keeping of the lawful guardian. As mentioned before, Savita was kept at Mr. Nandkumar's place by her father, that is Mr. Manoj. She was in the lawful custody. As stated in the facts, Savita was kidnapped from a certain road in the vicinity of Nandkumar's residence.
So you say that we should not argue on facts, and then again you are arguing facts.
I'm just pointing out. We are not arguing. We are just pointing it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Although it is established by the counsel for accused that the victim herself went and voluntarily called the accused and went with him. But the accused having put up a proposal of marriage before the victim on 14th Feb 2019 was the only and sole reason for the victim voluntarily getting out of the lawful custody. Thus, in this manner, Sadashiv enticed Savita from the lawful custody. Furthermore, it can be proved with the help of Indri Sayyid Abdul Sattar.
What I fail to understand is, did she not of her own accord abandon the home of her relative and then leave the home, come to another place, call him? So the initiative is totally hers.
Your Lordship, her willingness or her consent to whatever she is trying to do is not considered in section 361. Section 361 is for the protection of minors. So her consent or her willingness to do a particular thing is not mentioned in the 361, in the section 361.
No. You don't get my point, right? Her willingness is not material. Given that, on the part of the accused, there has to be taking or enticing, and that has to be out of the keeping. Has he taken her out of the keeping? He has taken her from some place in the highway.
I have a case law to prove that. May I proceed?
Yes.
Just a moment. I have it over. Your Lordship, I would like to give an example related to the concept of sphere of guardianship. May I proceed?
Yeah.
If a 17 years old girl went to market for buying few things, and if she got kidnapped from the market itself, then will she be kidnapped from the lawful custody? Well, the answer to this question, Your Lordship, is mentioned in the case Guddu versus State of UP. Please will you refer to page number 21 of the compendium?
I get that case. I know that case. Now you refer to it as a sphere, okay, sphere of lawful guardian, but it is more popularly referred to as the protective shell of a lawful guardianship. So the very quality of a shell is it is brittle, right? Now I can understand where a girl has gone to a marketplace or a college or some railway station and she's taken from there. We can safely presume that the protective shell of lawful guardianship is presumed to move with her wherever she goes, maybe to the college, to the marketplace.
Yes.
But will this protective shell of lawful guardianship or sphere, as you refer to it, continue to be protecting the minor in a case where the minor has been sent away to another place without the knowledge of the accused, right? The accused has no awareness that she is in another place. The minor, decides herself to abandon that place, come to another place, call the accused, and the accused goes there, obliges, yeah,
Yes.
and facilitates her going from that place. So is this fear of lawful guardianship which you're talking about still existing at that point, protecting the minor?
Yes, Your Lordship.
Especially in a case where the minor in question is hardly a few days away from the age of 18.
Yes, Your Lordship. The sphere of guardianship extends wherever the minor goes. It is a well-recognized principle of criminal jurisprudence. That
No, but till what extent? You
wherever
cannot
the
put
minor
that analogy to such a big extent. Varadarajan's case says that.
Yes, Your Lordship. But the major part which distinguishes
What is your answer to Varadarajan's case?
Your Lordship, Varadarajan's case is a little bit is different in one aspect. In our case, the proposal of marriage is the only reason which I would like to. I am trying to tell that proposal of marriage is the only fact that she got induced, she got enticed from Sadashiv. So that is the difference between S. Varadarajan case and our case.
Do you have any comment on Thakurilal Vadgama case?
Yes, Your Lordship. Comment as in regarding the sphere of guardianship.
Are you putting any reliance on that case?
Yes, Your Lordship. I have mentioned that case in my argument. Should I proceed towards that part?
Yeah, please, because you hardly have any time remaining.
Okay. Yes. Just a second. I will just. Yes. In the case of Thakurlal D. Vadgama versus State of Gujarat, will you please move to refer to page 73 of the compendium?
Okay.
The two words takes or entices, as used in section 361 IPC, are intended to read together so that each takes to some extent its color and content from the other. Now, just 3 lines below that part. But if the guilty party has laid a foundation by inducement, allurement, or threat, and if this can be considered to have influenced the minor or weighed with her in leaving her guardian's custody or keeping and going to the guilty party, then prima facie, it would be difficult for him to plead innocence on the ground that the minor had voluntarily come to him. So this citation supports my argument that the victim herself voluntarily leaving her guardianship is just a second. Herself voluntarily came out of the keeping of the guardianship, but the accused had induced her to do it by putting the proposal of marriage on 14 Feb 2019. The part where the accused insisted the victim on marrying himself cannot also be neglected, because as mentioned in the facts earlier, Savita had declined the proposal, and after persuasion and after insisting, she accepted the proposal. So these point out towards the inducement or enticement by Sadashiv to the victim, towards the victim.
Yes, anything else?
Yes, Your Lordship. Just a moment. I would like to now the next question. I would like to cite a case in which marriage, the proposal of marriage, is a proposal of marriage takes a major part in inducement. Can I cite that case, Your Lordship?
No, okay.
May I proceed towards the case law?
Yes.
In Moniram Hazarika versus State of Assam, please will you refer to page number 53 of the compendium?
Okay.
It is a case of defense that even on the day of incident, when the appellant was standing outside the house, the victim came to him and requested him to take her away.
Is this a case of
But-
kidnapping?
Yes, Your Lordship. Kidnapping and also, yes, kidnapping and also section 366. That is, yes. Yes, victim came to him and requested him to take her away. But there is material in the record to show that the appellant promised to marry her, and based on such promise, she went away with the appellant. And there is also material in the record to show that on that day, preparation for marriage was already made in the house of the appellant. Thus, two things are clear from this fact. One, that there was promise of marriage, and secondly, based on the same promise, victim went with the appellant. This is what I would like to. I am trying to prove that inducement or taking took place, that too out of the keeping of a lawful guardianship.
Any other
In the
contention you have? Manoj, how much more time does he have?
Your Lordship, he has 2 minutes left.
Okay. Yeah. Continue.
Yes, Your Lordship. I would like to. I will also like to mention one more thing, that as the learned counsel for the accused mentioned, did not mention, said that there was no mens rea. There is mens rea included in section 361. I would like to oppose that statement. Section 363 is an exception to mens rea. This section is made in such a way, that is in such a way to protect the minor, because they are minor and they are not capable of taking their own.
That is okay, but that is why Varadarajan's judgment was so shocking, na?
Yes, Your Lordship.
So when the judgment in the Varadarajan case was given, at that time also the law was the same. But there are cases in which we might little bit digress. So don't you think this is one of those cases?
No,
The
actually,
same
Your Lordship.
incident happening 3 days later would have resulted in no case at all.
Sorry.
The
Your
same incidents happening few days later would have resulted in no case at all.
Yes, Your Lordship, but it happened a few days before she
So in
turned
the
major.
interest of the greater good, do you not agree that let it be, let them go on with their lives? They have noble intentions.
No, Lordship, because
What is to be served by
Sorry?
convicting this person? What is to be served by convicting this person? Tell me. What ends of justice are to be served by convicting this person, who according to me
You're
has all noble intentions?
the intentions of the victim of the accused are not considered, and in India the theory.
Sorry, your time is up.
Okay, complete. Don't worry. Yeah.
In India there is a reformative theory of punishments. So in this case there I would like to plead that the accused should be given punishment under deterrent theory. That is, if you punish
No, I'm all confused now. You say there is reformative theory of punishment, and you say because of deterrence he should be punished.
Yes, Your Lordship, because if we punish the accused right now, at this very moment, then other people, who are thinking to commit such a crime, would not even try
Then why
to
did you
think about
mention
it.
reformative theory just now?
Because it is normally in India, most of the cases are on the basis of reformative theory of punishment, to give the chance, to give a second chance to the accused. But in our case, if we give the second chance, this keeps on going, and the minor are not capable to take their own decisions, and it is a heinous crime, Your Lordship.
Okay, thank you.
May I proceed to my prayers, Your Lordship? To the last part.
Quickly, in 30 seconds.
In the lights of issues raised, arguments advanced, and authorities cited, the respondent prays before the Honorable Court that it be pleased to declare that the application be dismissed, the revision application be dismissed, and or pass such order. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Your Lordship.
Thank you.
Would your Lordship like a rebuttal?
Just give them a few minutes, a couple of minutes.
Sure. Petitioners? In your
Okay.
rebuttal.
Only on the point whether your revision application is tenable.
Yes, Your Lordship, this application is very much tenable since the very fact that the opposition council has stated and cited cases. They have stated the fact that in a particular case that the opposition council cited, they stated that there was a preparation for marriage in that case. However, that case is not applicable to this case at all. There was no preparation for marriage. This marriage was not planned. Going with Savita was not planned by the appellant. Appellant had absolutely no knowledge of the fact that
My question and your argument is totally not in sync.
Your Lordship, this revision application will be tenable because of the fact that there is no malicious intent here from the accused. The very fact that the lower courts have not appreciated it, there is no point in convicting the appellant at this point of time. There is no wrong being done. There was consent, and it was everything that Savita wanted for herself, and that
Okay,
Sadashiv.
and two, what do you have to say?
Your Lordship, I just want learned opposing counsel has made a mention of a case in Guddu versus State of UP wherein the victim went to the market. Your Lordship, this is in no way pertaining to our case or even relevant to our case. Reason being, in our case, Savita herself went outside her guardian's keeping and
no,
she
yes,
then
that-
called.
What was my question?
Whether the revision petition is applicable. Yes, Your
Answer.
Lordship. Yes, Your Lordship. Since there was no evil intention on the part of the appellant, there was no evil intention. He didn't have any intent to cause any grievous hurt to Savita, and he just simply did as asked, as his beloved one asked.
So the learned counsel for the state categorically laid down for you. Yeah, even though I did not grill you on that, yes, categorically laid down for you when is the revision application tenable. Do you have any counter arguments regarding those points? Just tell me this much.
Apologies, Your Lordship.
So
Okay.
the
Thank you.
time is up.
Thank you.
Sir, rebuttal, Your Lordship.
No, that's okay. Nainisha, do I have to do the totaling or will you all do that?
No, sir. You can submit us the mark sheet. We will do the rest.
You all will take care of the totaling, is it?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay. So, what is the procedure now? Are we going to go ahead with the next round?
Yes, sir. We can. We'll send you the link, and you just click. The next round will be waiting.
So, this is the end of this round. Anything further here?
No, sir. I'll just like to propose the vote of thanks.
Okay.
I would sincerely accept my gratitude to Dr. Krishna Shetty, sir, for gracing us this afternoon for the first semi-final round. I would also like to thank our faculty in charge, Professor Pratni Sahu, our principal, Professor Vaishali Gurav, all the other faculty members, my co-members of the Mood Court Society, and all the participants. Your results for the semi-finals would be declared at the end of the day. Thank you so much,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you from my side. I have got an elite audience. I can see some very elite alumni, Arjun, Sudanva, Akshay. Yeah. So I am in very good company. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I can leave this call, right?
Yes, sir.